Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, January 10th. So we have the moon in Gemini energy here all day, which of course piques our curiosity, puts us in a situation where we're looking outside of ourselves for stimulation. We like interaction. We have a lot of aha moments, a lot of light bulb moments. And again, this is the time for us to get our heart space and our head space in alignment. So today is actually the last day that the nodes of the moon are going to be on this Aries and Libran axis that of course has been teaching us a very tough love life lesson, a valuable lesson, if you will, over the last 18 months on where it is that we have to break away from codependent relationships, dysfunctional relationships, wanting to constantly just dim our own light to make other people happy, where it is that we have to kick the people-pleasing energy to the curb, and where it is that, again, leaning into the Aries energy, that North Node, where we have to boss up, where we have to, again, be an individual, where it is that, again, we have to take the leadership role and assert ourselves by shining our light in order to fulfill our own wants, needs, desires, our own soul's mission, our own soul's purpose. We will be watching these nodes of the moon shift into the Pisces and Virgo axis that I talked about in the 2025 year ahead energy overview. And of course, if you took part in that workshop, we talked about that as well. Now, this is a major shift for us because it means that collectively speaking, we're moving into another 18-month chapter of new tough love life lessons that again revolve around the Pisces and Virgo axis. So again, lots of content out there. In order to keep you informed, download your January energy guide if you haven't already. And if you're hella interested, you should be jumping over to my Patreon. You should be tapping into the Astro class if you want to become a VIP and have access to all that content. By all means, definitely do that. However, if you want to stay on the non-membership side, you can be accessing these particular Astro class through a pay-per-view. So it would be highly recommended that you stay ahead of the game, that you know where this particular energy is manifesting in your own individual chart. So of course, all of the aspects that we've been having over the last week-ish with that North Node and South Node have been wrapping up the last 18 months of us learning this tough love life lesson on how to be ourselves, how to know ourselves, how to be our most authentic selves, and how to heal ourselves so that, of course, we can activate those creator abilities and start actually creating the realm and reality that we want to be living in instead of giving our power away to other people and just being a secondary supporting role in the movie that, of course, should be about us. With all of that being said, there are 11 different aspects taking place here today. We have 10 of them involving the moon. The moon in this Gemini energy going to make a very harsh interaction right out of the gate with Mercury. Now, Mercury rules over this Gemini energy that the moon is in, and Mercury now is in Capricorn energy. We're getting this particular not so nice interaction because, first of all, air and earth don't get along that well. They are the furthest elements away, and specifically this Gemini energy is so indecisive, on the fence about things, trying to weigh the pros and cons, flip-flopping back and forth, here and now, all over the place, doesn't bode well for the groundedness that the Capricorn energy wants us to be in. The Capricorn energy has us focused on the future, and this Gemini energy has us flip-flopping about the kind of future that we actually want. So, of course, it makes sense that we're not going to be on the same page, the moon being our heart space, Mercury being our head space, not even close to being on the same page at this point. And because of that, again, we have the potentiality to create a lot more anxiety, a lot more confusion, a lot more delusion than there actually needs to be because we're all up in the headspace and not anchored into reality even a little bit. The moon is then going to semi-square Chiron, the wounded healer. He, of course, is now direct in Aries energy and coming out of that not so nice interaction between the moon and Mercury. No wonder we are focusing in on the wounds. We're not feeling so good. We're not feeling so hot. We're not feeling so sure. And that makes sense because, of course, we're flip-flopping all over the place and we're really not in touch with reality at this particular juncture. And we're creating a lot more confusion than there actually needs to be. Therefore, we're kind of sitting in our wounds. We're not in the best mind space. We're not in the best heart space either. And instead of focusing on all that is good, all that is working, all we've been able to kind of grow through and heal through, we're focused on all of the work that still needs to be done. Again, choice point is yours. The moon is then going to make a very tough interaction with the sun. So the sun, of course, in Capricorn energy, the moon in Gemini energy, again, not getting along between air and earth. There's always going to be an aha moment when the sun and the moon are coming together, but unfortunately for us, because they are not getting along, this is going to be realized through what it is that we no longer want. It's going to be realized through tension, through conflict, and likely give us a little bit more clarity on where it is that we are certainly divided on certain decisions, choice points, paths, options, and opportunities. Having kind of shit hit the fan in one way or another is definitely going to help us be leaning into one path, one direction over the other as well. The moon, then going to get into the boxing ring, square off with Venus. Venus being the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She's in Pisces energy. Pisces and Gemini energy are both mutable signs, thus the square. Now, relationships are probably going to take a little bit of a hit, especially because we're a little bit cray-cray in our mental plane, kind of exasperating situations that don't need any more attention, kind of creating a little bit more anxiety in situations and circumstances that aren't really rooted in reality. And so Venus, of course, she's all up in this Pisces energy, trying to remove people, places, things, trying to provide endings, closures to karmic chapters, even where relationship dynamics are concerned, in order to free her up to actually start pursuing people, places, and things that are in a much better frequency, much better vibration, much better match for her at this particular point in time. So our heart space and our head space kind of at each other. And because of that, probably going to be projected outwardly. Because of that, probably going to verbal vomit, say a lot of things that you probably shouldn't be saying out loud, and probably going to have a major impact on those that you care about the most. The moon then gives us a little bit of a break. Now it is midday, 12:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, before we get the first positive interaction of the day. The moon in Gemini then going to make a positive interaction with Neptune. Neptune, of course, in his rulership in Pisces energy. We're working with mutable energies. Mutability means we've been presented with information, situations, and circumstances that validate a change, an improvement, an adjustment, a pivot point. So Neptune in this Pisces energy, of course, is all about our dreams, our intuition, our karma, our spirituality, our imagination, basically where it is that there's an intuitive pull into a new path, into a new direction. Of course, does also come with an element of confusion and delusion. That's just that Neptune energy, blurring the lines and kind of being vague with all of the insights in which we are receiving. The moon in Gemini, of course, is kind of divided between our heart and head anyways. We're trying to get them on the same page. But lucky for us, this is a positive interaction, which means that we're seeing things a little bit differently. We're tapping into a little bit more of a positive, more encouraging type of narrative. And we're a little bit more, I'm going to say, softer with our approach, especially when it comes to talking to ourselves. We then have the only aspect non-involving the moon pop off at 1:02 p.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. And this is between Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, and how it is that we express ourselves in this Capricorn energy now, making a very positive interaction with Saturn. So Saturn rules over Capricorn season and the Capricorn energy that Mercury is now in. Mercury, of course, in this Capricorn energy, just fresh in it, trying to adjust, very focused on the long term, what we want to build, what we want to create, and what we need to do in order to clear the space for us to build something new in the place of the things that, of course, we have outgrown. Saturn is in Pisces energy, trying to wrap things up, trying to release things, trying to eliminate things, trying to dissolve the realm and reality that we've built off of the false-ass belief system that we once had that very much connected to that wounded version of self. The higher version of self, the more healed version of self, is trying to stay in power, trying to stay in control. And so now we have to remove all of the things that belong to that old frequency, that old resonance, in order for us to have the space to, again, build a life, create a realm and reality that is in a vibrational match with our new version of selves and the desired outcome of our new goals, visions, and dreams. We have Mercury and Saturn helping us to be a little bit more, let's call it clear in our minds, a little bit more organized with our thoughts, a little bit more practical when it comes to actually articulating ourselves and communicating our inner realm to those that need to hear it. There's a lot more discipline that we're tapping into, especially to strengthen our mental plane. We realize where we went a little bit cray-cray earlier in the day, where it is that our mental plane definitely got the best of us, and where it is that we have to pull the reins back and really show our minds who the boss is, which is us. We got to boss up, we got to do better, we got to be better. And so there's a lot of mental stress that was created earlier in the day, mental confusion that we created earlier in the day, that suddenly we are going to fix, heal, and resolve by getting a little bit of a reality check, being a little bit more realistic with ourselves, with what it is that we've been allowing to consume our mind, and the words that we might have probably said that we shouldn't have said earlier on in the day. The moon in Gemini energy, going to make a beautiful interaction with the North Node in Aries energy, which means that this is officially the last aspect that the North Node in Aries, the South Node in Libra will be making prior to the nodes shifting into the Pisces and Virgo axis on the 11th. So lucky for us, this is a beautiful interaction. We're dealing with air and fire, which of course gives us a little bit of a boom, boom, pow. We get a combustion, a reignition, if you will, a fire, a spark, a flame, in order for us to have new downloads, new insights, new clarity, new motivation, new passion, if you will, to get our shit together, to get in alignment with the new path, with the new direction, where it is that we have to grow, where it is that we have to heal, where it is that we have to evolve, where it is that we have to boss up, do better, and be better, because we have our own soul's mission that we have to be completing, that we have to fulfill. And so this is opening us up, mind, body, and soul, in order to try to see things differently. When you can see things differently, you can feel differently. And when you see and feel differently, you can act differently. And we are preparing for that action stage that, of course, will come when Mars goes direct. We have the moon in this Gemini energy coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with, conjuncting Jupiter. So Jupiter being the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, he is retrograde. So there's a lot of looking back, a lot of reflection, a lot of reanalyzation, a lot of reassessing. We're looking back in Gemini energy. So old thoughts, old ideas, old conversations, old tough love life lessons that we need to pluck those silver linings out of and integrate into this present moment so we can avoid making the same mistakes again. A conjunction is just as much of an ending as it is a beginning, and the ending is the confusion. The ending is the division, the flip-flopping between two different paths, two different directions, two different options. The new that we are inviting in is confidence, optimism, that when we trust ourselves, when we align with our higher selves, we are given the path, given the vision, given the dream that, of course, our higher selves wants us to pursue. We are changing our belief system. We are changing the way that we focus our energy. We're changing the way that we speak to ourselves. We're changing the way that we feel about some of the not so nice thoughts and narratives that definitely creeped up on us over this last couple of days. This is going to really put us in a better mood, better attitude, better mind space, better heart space for us to kind of see where it is now that we have options to grow, to evolve, to move on. The moon in Gemini then going to make a not so nice interaction with Mars, Mars being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger. Mars is retrograde in this Cancer energy. Not such a great vibe. Doesn't feel so hot. We have a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of not so nice thoughts and feelings rising to the surface of our awareness because, of course, Mars wants to take action. He wants to make moves, but he can't. He's in a retrograde. He has to revisit and reassess his inner realm of emotion, of intuition to see what is actually driving him, what he's actually motivated to do, to pursue, and where it is that, again, there are some aspects that are working very well, that we've worked very hard to stabilize, that we now have to fight, defend, and protect. So, of course, this isn't going to feel nice. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to highlight for us the frustration, the anger that we are currently feeling by kind of sitting on the sidelines, if you will. Again, we have every opportunity to use the not so nice thoughts and feelings as power for us to see what we're actually passionate about, what actually matters to us, and what it is that we truly value. The moon is then going to make a very positive interaction with the sun. The sun, of course, in Capricorn energy, the moon in Gemini energy, air and earth have a hard time getting along. So lucky for us, this is a positive interaction. The sun and the moon are going to illuminate new wants, needs, and desires, especially coming out of those earlier interactions where we see the option and opportunity for growth, for evolvement, where it is that we got a little bit frustrated, a little bit ticked off that we couldn't take immediate action on said goal, vision, and dreams. But now we're seeing things in a different light and we feel very differently towards it. And the sun in Capricorn, who spotlights the foundation, the structure of our physical realms that we want to build, that we need to build in order to actually reach our desired outcome, our desired goal. Suddenly the wheels are spinning in the most positive of ways inside of us, and we're starting to see the steps, the plan, the strategy needed to get out of where it is that we're at and closer to where it is that we desire to be. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Gemini energy, getting into the boxing ring and squaring off with Saturn. So Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, he's in Pisces energy. Again, Gemini and Pisces energy are both mutable signs, thus the square. We're going through growing pains. We're going to learn something very valuable through the tension and conflict that we're currently sitting in. And this is going to feel very restrictive. It's going to feel like we're held back, like we're trapped in a lot of ways, like we're very limited in our ability to take action and make moves, which of course we are. This is going to create a, let's call it, state of paralysis, where we may move into the headspace and start creating anxiety, start creating worries that don't need to be there. This could also put us in a situation to kind of lose ourselves and not the greatest narrative, and therefore kind of spiral before we pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off once again. Again, we have a lot to learn from the not so nice energies, from not so nice thoughts and feelings that get illuminated. And again, this could definitely be stimulating us in a tension-filled way, pushing us into an aha moment, a moment of clarity of what needs to be removed, what needs to end in order for us to begin again.